at one of the biggest mounds that was found in Pennsylvania. Right here in this ball field is where the mound was found. Smithsonian excavated it in the late 1900s. It was 16 feet high and 85 foot wide. And there were 33 skeletons found. One of them reporting was a giant, as you see in here. In this book by Fritz Zimmerman of the giants that were found in North America, you could actually see how big this mound was. It was huge. And they totally destroyed it. And they left the little remains of it. As you can see here, it says no climbing sacred ground. This was an actual mound here. And maybe it remains back here. I bet they're filled over here everywhere. They totally demolished this. They said they found over 4,000 artifacts at this place. So this was a teeming place. Looking further into the McKees Rocks Mound, actually when they started excavating, it was the team of Smithsonian Institution that was in there excavating. And one of the excavators was named Powell, and in his conclusion he determined that there was no giants there and that there was no remains of any types of giants. But in his closing remarks over here, you can actually see where he says that under the dimensions is giant. He put giant under the dimensions. And actually around this time there were many giants being discovered throughout North America, throughout the world actually, but mostly in North America, throughout the newspapers. If you go through all these books I have here, they compilated a bunch of newspaper articles, which just giants being found everywhere. And specifically the McKees Rocks Mound being one of the earliest excavations by the Smithsonian that was covered up. It's very fascinating. But they started to excavate the foundation walls, and they started to find pieces of larger skeletal remains. And as they started going more inward, they found a hole in the center of it. There was actually a mound. The big mound was on the bottom, the more ancient mound, and then there was another mound built on top of it. So it was actually two mounds, but the Indians built their mounds on top, but the mound builders built the original bigger mound. Even the Indians say that they didn't build the mounds, that the mounds were there and they just inhabited them. That's why there was evidence of a more ancient mound below and then a more recent mound above. And looking into the Indian legends is just so fascinating, that most people thought that this was the way that they greeted people, but they were actually looking for if you had 6 fingers, because they were connected to the giants and they were cannibals. And actually, you know, it can be tested in the Bible. It's actually spoken about people with 6 fingers and 6 toes in the Bible. We have here Samuel 21:20, King James Version. And there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes. So, I mean, these things were known about. I mean, that's why they were in the newspapers. People knew about these things, and even a president knew about these things as well. Abraham Lincoln, when he visited Niagara Falls in 1848, during his speech at the very end, he said, when Columbus first sought this continent, when Christ suffered on the cross, when Moses led the Israelites through the Red Sea, nay, even when Adam came from the hand of his maker, then as now Niagara was roaring, the eyes that species of extinct giants whose bones fill the mounds of the Americans have gazed on Niagara, as do ours now. So even Abraham Lincoln knew about these giants, and it was common knowledge because they had to build a nation. So they were tearing apart these mounds, and they were finding huge amounts of giants, and that's what this book here and the one by Fritz Zimmerman are all about. There are newspaper clippings of all these giants in North America found everywhere, and even the Smithsonian workers have came out in history have came out and said that they were paid to destroy these bones. And actually Meriwether Lewis of Lewis of Clark, if you actually read this, The Suppressed History of Meriwether Lewis, and this book is fascinating. It actually depicts Meriwether Lewis being murdered because he was trying to come out about all the giant findings he was finding when he was going west, which is really fascinating. And to know that Abraham Lincoln talked about these, and there were just numerous accounts of these giants, and to actually live next to one and to actually go there and see it and see how they excavated it and left a little remainder of it. And you can actually see there was like a wall built into the hillside that kind of went back. So crazy things that happened, but the more we talk about this stuff, the more they come out. I don't know, that looks like a wall to me. But yeah, man, this whole part was the mound. Yeah, buddy. All right, hold on. This is where giants roamed. They walked this earth. Look, I don't know, man. It's like a wall to me. There's something back here too. Yeah, it looks like an old wall. Older. Maybe not as old as the mound itself, but still, look, there's a mound. There's humps in the terrain over here. Yep, look at that. There's a mound right there. There's a mound back there. There's all humps back there. The humps in the ground. And look, that looks like an old wall. And the river is literally right over there. So they were definitely seafaring people. This is one right here, one over there, one right here. Yeah! You might be wondering, what happened to these giants? Where are they? And it wasn't even just giants. There were actually evidences of smaller people and fairies and all types of different creatures, mermaids, and these mythical creatures that we are taught as just myth. They're actually real, and there's evidence to support it. But like recent sightings of giants, are there any stories that we can talk about? The Kandahar giant, I suggest you to research that. There are also mentions in the Solomon Islands of a race of giants that lived there in the 1950s and 60s, and there are a couple witnesses that come out and testify to that. Gilgamesh's tomb being found in Hillary Clinton's WikiLeaks document. They found the tomb of Gilgamesh